Go. All right. Thanks everybody for joining today. I got a great guest,
Tinaya.
Tinaya. Sorry.
It's okay. Everybody fucks it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm probably not the first one to kind of mess that up. My last
Yeah.
guest, I actually just forgot his name when I went to do the introduction. So
Oh,
yeah, lots of fun. So I got a great guest,
Tinaya.
Tinaya. I almost fucked that up twice.
It's okay. It's a hard name.
Well, thank you for being here on the show today. I really appreciate it. Thank you
Yeah.
for taking the time to share your story with us today.
Yeah, I'm
Looking forward to
excited.
this. So do you want to give a shout out to anybody before we get started?
Not really.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know who I would give a shout out to. I was listening to the other ones and I'm like, fuck, who would I say hi to? I don't know.
Yeah. You don't have to. No.
Perfect. Awesome.
So, fun fact about Tinaya here: she's got a cat tattoo. She's got a cat named Pablo Escobar, and she's got his what's the word I'm looking for here? She's got his
face.
Yeah, I was gonna say face, but I was gonna try and use a different word, like portfolio or not
portrait.
Portrait. That's the word. Yes. So she's got a cat Pablo Escobar portrait in a space helmet tattooed on her leg there. So, what made you do that?
So originally I had this plan when my cat died that I wanted to get his ashes put in into tattoo ink and then tattooed on me. And I talked to my tattoo artist and he said that that's super illegal and that nobody would ever do it for me. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I just need to find something else that's gonna make it just as cool. And I really like space and cats, so I just decided it was a good idea.
Perfect. Well, it's a one-off tattoo, right? Nobody ever else is gonna get that one done.
Right. I have a lot of tattoos that are like that. Like I have a little bitch on my arm.
I got a couple random ones too.
Yeah, right? It happens.
Yeah, I totally agree. Awesome. So to get the show started off, what's one thing you're grateful for today and why?
I always clam up when it's one thing because then it's got to be the best thing. Probably the fact that I'm driving now. You know, it's just fucking life changing. You know, I can do anything all the time, and it only took me 20 minutes to get here. That's fucking dope. I'm used to busing everywhere where it's an hour and 45 minutes just to get 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
So that is what I'm grateful for. The fact that I have a car.
Nice. Good job. Yeah, that's definitely a gift. I got mine too. How long ago? 15 years ago. I bought my first one, never got it on the road, and then finally, when I first moved to Edmonton, I got it, and it was life changing.
Yeah.
That freedom. I couldn't imagine not having it today. Yeah. Do you want to take a few minutes and share with us what your childhood upbringing was like?
Sure. Okay, so I grew up in what appeared to be a normal household from the outside looking in. My dad has a decent amount of money. My mom is just a normal what's the word? Middle class human. My dad was pretty abusive growing up, and I didn't realize that it was abuse until I actually got sober and went to a venta and talked to other women about it, and I realized that not everybody grows up getting their shit kicked for not doing the dishes. My mom is my best friend. She's always been my best friend. I hated her growing up because she wouldn't let me fucking do the shit I wanted to do and ruin my life, but I realized she just had my best interest at heart. But yeah, my parents are separated. They divorced when I was 2, so I have no memory of them being together. And yeah, I just kind of flopped back and forth between my mom and my dad's for a while. And yeah.
Do you have any siblings? Or?
Yeah, I do. I have one. So I have my dad and this my brother's mom got together, and I have sorry, this is not good. I have 2 half siblings, but I don't refer to them as my half siblings. But one of them is black and one of them is white. And so my dad married a black lady. I have a black brother, and then I have his name's Abdi, and then I have a white brother with my mom and his dad, and his name's Dylan.
Okay, so you're kind of right in the middle of the two of them, then.
Yeah, right. It's super weird because they have no relation to each other, but they're both related to me, so it's weird.
Yeah, I could see that. Was it a little bit challenging getting used to it, or?
Not really, no, because I've never known my parents together, so I don't know. I wanted them both to be happy, right? So, and so Dylan's, I'm 25, 26, 25, 26.
Trick question.
I was born in 95, whatever the fuck that is. I'm 26 or 25. And so Dylan's 19, he'll be 20 right away. So I was only 5 when he was born, And then by the time Abdi was born, he's 14, I was already into drugs. So like it didn't really affect me too much because I was out there doing dope.
How old were you when you first started doing drugs or drinking?
So like I like was actually thinking about this a couple weeks ago. Like when I started smoking weed, I was like 12, 13, but I didn't get into like drugs, like hard drugs until like 14, 15. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your experience like? How did that happen? Like, was it just true friends or partying or
So my
some kind
mom
of
smokes
influence?
weed,
Okay.
and like I started stealing weed from her cuz I like grew up on the north side and it was the thing that everybody did. And then one day when I was in, it was the summer of grade 6 going into grade 7, my friend, she like had older siblings and they were having a party. So I was like, yeah, like, you know, being in grade 6, I was like, fuck yeah, this will be fun. You know, whatever, we'll just smoke weed and hang out. And there was coke there and I tried it and it was like I fucking just fell in love instantly and I did everything I could to get drugs from that point forward. Like I I was young as fuck, so like I didn't have money. I didn't have like a drug dealer to go to. So it wasn't like full-blown addiction right away. It was more of just like whenever I had money from my parents or like Christmas gifts or like whatever I could sell that I owned, but like as a grade 6er, what the fuck do I have?
Yeah.
I'm like 13. But yeah, so it's just like whenever I could hang out with somebody who had dope, I would do dope kind of thing.
Yep. I get it.
Yeah.
That's how I was when I was 16. Like it was through a friend's uncle. And then I got introduced to speed when I was 16 and we
Mhm.
would go there all the time. Or like that was when I would start doing it is just through that connection or hanging around people that did it, which
Mhm.
would allow me to do it. And I couldn't afford it or I didn't have a job. So there was no way I could go buy it on my own. But
Yeah.
that's how I got stoned. Do you remember you just kind of said you loved it. Um, so at the age of 14, then moving forward, you go graduate school.
Yeah, I did. My mom, again had my best interest at heart. She forced me to like I wasn't working. I dropped out of high school because I found out. So I it was like a shit show. I ended up moving from my mom's to my dad's back and forth. So I moved into my mom's in Spruce Grove, and I found out that as soon as you turn 16, you can drop out of school without a parent's permission. So I dropped out of school and came home that day and I was like, fuck it, I'm not going back. And she was like, well, you can either move out or you can go to school. So I was not prepared to live on my own. So I went to outreach. It's like where you just do like the modules and shit.
Okay, yep.
And yeah, like by the time I lived in Spruce Grove, I was already fucking hooked on meth. So like I had nothing better to do but sit around and smoke meth and do schoolwork. So it worked in my benefit for a little bit.
But you got your diploma at the end of it.
Yeah, right? And like whatever, I was like 16,
Yep.
17. So like I wasn't into like the crime and everything yet. That was still back when meth was just fun,
Yeah,
you
makes
know?
sense.
Yeah.
So do you want to walk us through kind of the process or, what, as things started to go, when did you start to see a change in lifestyle or what fast picked it up?
So I met this dude in Spruce Grove who I thought was like the baddest gangster I'd ever seen. He was not. But in my mind he was cuz I was just like this naive like 17-year-old. And he sold coke in the city here and I moved in with him. And I thought that it was a good idea at the time because it got me out of my mom's house and I could was like free to do what I wanted to do. Um but yeah, so him selling coke obviously isn't going to help my fucking drug addiction. And we lived on our own so we were free to do whatever we wanted and like he was a cokehead and I was a meth head and like I had access to anything I wanted, cuz like you're dating a drug dealer. It's a lot easier for me to get dope and I realized that like as soon as he got arrested that I had a full-blown fucking addiction. Like I couldn't stop using. And I didn't have the money anymore. Like, he wasn't there to pay the bills, so I got evicted. And then I was homeless on the streets of Spruce Grove with no idea what to do. Like um so I met not the greatest of people. I started hanging around with like other full-blown sketchy fucking meth heads and I learned how to like I don't know, we used to call it perping, which I think is such a stupid word now. But like just like steal random shit from backyards and it started out like that and then all of a sudden like, jerry cans weren't enough. I had to steal actual cars and then, actual cars weren't enough because I wasn't able to get money for them. So then it was like breaking into houses, you know, stealing people's like literally like I just did my step 4 and on my general harms page it literally just says stealing anything that wasn't bolted down because the list is so long. Um but yeah, like that's kind of when my life went to shit. Like as soon as I found out that I could do crime and get free money
Mhm.
basically, I was fucked.
How old were you at that point?
Like 18?
Okay, so you just kind of
Yeah. It just kind of
started.
progressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, were you? Did you realize that maybe drugs were an issue at that time, or correlated to
I
any of the
like
behaviors?
I knew that I wouldn't have done these things without drugs, but the drugs made me happy, so I wanted them,
Yeah, it just
you
makes you
know?
feel normal almost.
Yeah, right, and, like, I have ADHD if it wasn't fucking obvious, so meth was, like, a cure, you know? It, like, fixed the problem that was me, you know? Like, I hated fucking making friends, I hated school, like, I hated, like, this even, you know? Like, I just like, I hated doing anything that involved another person, but then on meth, like, I was cool as fuck, you know?
Mhm.
Like, I didn't care what people thought about me, I could do anything I wanted to. So like I knew that it could lead to being a problem, but like I thought that I was fine cuz I it was something that like almost like I needed it.
Yeah,
You know, because like my life sober was shit even before using.
yeah.
You know, so like I didn't want to go back to that.
It creates like an alternate reality, especially that sleep deprivation, right? Like it just,
Mhm.
for me, like when it talks about unmanageability and drugs, I thought I could just float through life. I thought if I ignore something long enough, it would just go away.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I had to actually put any effort into life or any work. Like I thought shit was just supposed to happen. If I thought about it long enough, it would just happen. If I ignore it long enough, it would just go away. And that's not fucking reality,
Yeah.
in hindsight today. Did you get into trouble with the law or anything like that? Or
Yeah, I don't know how I avoided it for so long. Like I remember I got arrested in 2017. I once again met a fucking guy and my life went to shit. But yeah, so our house got raided and there was way too much dope in the house. Like I ended up with like 38 different trafficking charges. There was 3 different guns. There was like dynamite for some fucking reason that neither of like to this day neither of us know where it came from. Um
that's funny, not so funny, right?
Right, but, like, yeah, like, what the fuck? Who has that? And, like, my dad's Middle Eastern, so, like, me getting arrested with dynamite was a big thing. I was scared. I'm like, "Holy fuck, they're gonna think I'm a terrorist." Um, but yeah, so I obviously got in trouble. I took the first deal that was offered, and I pled out to 2 years, 2 years plus a day in the pen.
Yep,
Yeah, it was super unfortunate at the time, but, like, it's what I needed to get sober.
yep,
Like, that I had never tried to get sober on my own
yep.
because I didn't think I wanted to. Like I didn't need it. My life
Mhm.
was it was shitty, but it was still better than the alternative, I thought.
Yep, that makes sense. I
Mhm.
like I'm not gonna get into the whole story, but like I had to go see a counselor before I went to treatment,
Mhm.
and when I'm talking to her, I didn't realize there was anything wrong with the drugs. Like I thought I was going to go to rehab, like I did a 21-day treatment facility. I thought I was going to learn how to control it. I thought,
Mhm.
I was supposed to go back to school. I'm going to buy an 8 ball. I'm going to break it up into 4 fucking bags and just use on the weekend.
Yeah.
I had no clue there was anything wrong with the way I used. And then I got to treatment and I found, holy fuck, I was fucking crazy.
Yeah,
you
right?
know?
Like, wait, I have to not do drugs?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know?
Uh,
Yeah.
so what was your first introduction to recovery then? Or,
So okay, so I got out on bail. My dad paid my bail, luckily. So I had a year basically to like plan my life for going to the pen, and I was supposed to go to treatment. So I went to Aventa, and I left after like 4 days because fuck that. I wasn't ready. I wasn't wasting 3 months of the year that I have in a treatment center. So that was like the first introduction I guess that I had, and like I hated it. But it wasn't 12-step based, so like it was kind of more just like let's talk about all of our fucking trauma, and like that's not what I want to do.
yeah,
Like I don't want to be sober. I'm not ready for this. So I'm definitely not telling these random fucking people all my shit.
yeah.
Um Yeah, so I left.
Fair enough. When you
Yeah.
got out of there, obviously you went back to the same lifestyle, I'm
Yep.
guessing.
Yep.
Um, what were some bottoms, or like what was life looking like by the time? What is your clean date today?
November 29th, 2019.
So you're coming up on 3 years here.
Mhm.
Good job.
Thanks.
Congrats. So 3 years, 19. I'm just trying to like timestamp this a little bit here. Um, from that point when you got out, did you try getting clean at all in
No.
between until your clean date?
No.
Nothing, eh?
Nothing. No. So I got arrested 2017. I went into the pen in 2018, served 11 months, got out of there in 2018, continued to use, but I only used G because I thought that was how I thought that's how I was going to manage my life, because you can't piss test me for it. I can still work a job. I can still do everything. I was just G'ing out every other day, but I thought that was manageability for me,
Yep.
because like you were saying, like I thought that as long as I wasn't doing crime or doing things that I shouldn't be doing, like I can still do drugs,
Mm.
right? So like while I was on parole, I didn't talk to anybody who did drugs. I'd like Have you ever heard of Whisper, the app?
No.
Okay, so it was a big thing in like 2019 to sell drugs,
Okay.
and it's super fucked up. I don't recommend ever downloading it.
I probably
Like,
won't today at this point in my life, you know.
yeah, but like, if yeah. But yeah, so I would just like meet up with random people off Whisper and buy G and like never associate with them. So it was just I was just doing drugs in secret because I needed to be high instead of feeling my feelings, and it fucking sucked. Like it was not a good time. I was miserable.
What was your living situation like?
I was in the halfway house.
Oh, okay.
So I had a roommate, and she didn't know I had to piss test like every 3 or so weeks. I had to sign in and sign out of the house. Um but like they all just thought that I was tired all the time. So like it was what it was, right? Like I was
Yep.
allowed to be out from 6 a.m. till 11 p.m. most days, so I just wouldn't come home until 10:30 and then go to bed and wake up and leave again.
Yep, makes sense.
Hmm.
So you want to tell us what was your bottom that actually brought you into your clean day today, or
So I went to go celebrate my current sponsor's 18 months at NA Pride, and we were walking home because she like was in a different halfway house, and we were like walking to the bus stop, and she like stopped me and was just like, "What do you want to do with your life?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" Because I didn't think she knew I was high, but apparently it was obvious. So yeah, she's just like, "Well, what are you doing?" Like, I'm trying to fucking help you. I'm trying to bring you to meetings. I'm trying to show you that we don't have to do that anymore. And she offered to be my sponsor, and I was like, "Haha, you're funny." And I ended up going out for like so I told her that I was sober and I wasn't. Like, I faked it for a good 6 months where I was going to meetings every day. I was telling people I was sober, and I went to the Y on my birthday thinking cuz like my belly button birthday is the 24th of November. So I went out for my birthday, and I drank a water bottle that had MDMA in it. And I realized that as soon as anything like harder than G was put into my system, that I was fucked. Like I spent the next 3 days fiending out for fucking meth without knowing where to get it, without knowing who to call, without like knowing what to do. And like that was the bottom for me. Like that's what I needed. I needed to know that I couldn't fucking do it anymore. Cuz like I sat in my basement crying. I had like just gotten Pablo, and like I told him I would never do drugs around him, and like I know he's a cat, but like whatever. I like fucking hated that about drugs when people would do dope around their fucking cat. But like yeah, like that was bottom for me. It was just knowing that I fucking couldn't find dope when I wanted it, and like knowing that I was fucked, you know?
so let me ask you this then: what does powerlessness mean to you then, or how would you
Um
describe powerlessness?
like I don't know, it's a hard question. Like not being in control. I'm powerless over like I once drugs are put in my system, like I am no longer capable of making my own decisions, and like that's powerless.
Mm.
Like I'm fucking powerless over drugs cuz like as soon as like fuck like even just like the smell of like dope, like walking downtown or something and I smell it, I'm like instantly like thrown back right into like I need to do that right now. Even at like, 2.5 years clean,
It's a trigger.
it still happens, and like that's powerlessness, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's to each their own, right? Like, and for me, the way I describe it is, once I take it, I can't stop,
Mhm.
and I do it when I don't want to do it. The only time I didn't do drugs is if I didn't have drugs. Like, I
Yeah.
used to sell the last of my dope just so I could go to bed because I know I could not stop. I
Mhm.
knew every time I went to the bar, I get fucking drunk. Like,
Yeah.
even though I didn't mean to, but every time I went, I got drunk. I never in my life ever just had a little bit, right? It was
Mhm.
all or nothing until it was gone. It was go to bed or not go to bed and then start the next day, right? So,
Right?
uh,
What's the point of fucking going to the bar if you're not going to get wasted?
yeah. Um, so you got introduced. What was it like taking your first
Whoops.
key tag, or
Oh my god.
you said you went through the 12 steps, so I can kind of speak on this one.
Yeah.
What was it like when you got that first key tag, when you finally admitted defeat, or you wanted to try this new way of life or commit to it?
Are you talking about my 1 year, right?
No, like
Oh,
just
like
like
this.
your introduction. So we're gonna start
Oh,
with your clean
okay.
date today,
Okay.
where you just kind of surrendered. You know.
Oh, it was terrible. I hated it. I fucking hated it. Like I was convinced that everybody else in the rooms was still on drugs. I thought that they just found a way to work like meth into their lives because I go to CMA and they're fucking weird, and like I like it cuz like now I get it.
Yeah.
Like but at the time I was like, no, these people are still high on fucking meth. They just work normal jobs and this is where they came to figure it out, so somebody needs to explain it to me. Um I didn't actually take any key tags until like 3ish months in.
Okay.
I didn't share at meetings. I couldn't go to a meeting by myself. Like I was an anxious fucking wreck as soon as I didn't have meth. Um like I didn't start going to meetings alone until like after my 1 year. Like I would like sit outside of like wherever the meeting was and just sit there and cry cuz I couldn't walk in.
Yeah.
Um but like I remember this one CMA Pride was at the other building, so it would have been like right before COVID started. I remember getting a key tag. I can't remember which one it was, but I remember walking up to the front and everybody clapping, and I just started bawling, and I had no idea why, but I couldn't stop crying, and I like ran away, and like now I realize that it's probably like, that was like, holy shit, I'm accepted, and I hate this, like I don't want this. I want to be able to do drugs again. Um, but yeah, so that's my first key tag experience, I guess.
What what was your motivation to stay sober that first year?
My mom. I didn't want my mom to see me die. Right, because like I'm on Suboxone, so I'm clearly also a down junkie. And like everybody I knew was dying, and I didn't want that. And like when I was in the pen, like my mom would come and visit me. Every weekend I had a visitor. My mom and dad would like take turns. Like I would see my mom one weekend and then my dad the next. And like I got really close to my mom. Like I was calling her every day. We were talking for like 45 minutes a day and then seeing her for 3 hours on the weekend. Like she became like the only person that I talked to. So then when I got out, it was like after her hearing all of the things that she said, all of the things that I had done to her that I didn't even realize. That's why I wanted to stay clean. Like I had a lot of reservations in my first year too that like as soon as my mom dies, I'm going back out. Like it was set in my mind that like I'm only doing this until she's dead, and then once she's dead, I'm gone. Cuz like that's the only reason I got clean was because I didn't want her to see me die. But then I know that as soon as she dies, I don't want to see that. So then I'm going to do drugs. Yeah. I
Uh,
don't think that way now. I
yeah.
mean, like
How did you change that perception, or how did you squash your reservations?
the steps.
Yeah.
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 Just like actually doing the fucking steps. Like I took me 2.5, like 2 years and 3 months to do my first set of steps.
Yeah.
I did the NA steps, and I was basically doing like 3 steps a year for the first little bit because like I didn't want to do them. And like I struggled with the whole God thing for a long time because like, I know like in my mind when I first came in, the only God that I could think of was Jesus. And like,
Mm.
if that's what you believe in, fucking awesome. But like, the Bible doesn't make sense to me, Um, but yeah, like I worked through the steps, you know, and I worked through some of my resentments, and I worked through like realizing that, like, you know, the longer that I'm clean, if my mom dies, because well, when my mom dies, you know, she's obviously gonna fucking die,
Mhm.
that if I go back out, I'm harming more people than just my mom at this point, you know,
Yeah.
like I have a connection with my brothers again, you know, like I've made so many fucking friends here that, like, if I go out and use, I'm fucking all of them over, you know?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
totally get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. In what area of your life have you had to get the most uncomfortable to get the most growth?
Sharing my story, talking at meetings, you know, doing things like this, doing panels. Um, yeah,
That's a
that's
hard one.
right.
Uh,
Like when I first came into the meetings, even at like my 1 year, I think I shared for 45 seconds because I couldn't talk. It was just like instant tears. Like as soon as it didn't even have to be about me. Like it was just standing up there and talking that like I couldn't do it, you know? But
I'll tell you, when I got to get up in front of a crowd, I still friggin' I just sweat. Like
yeah,
I get uncomfortable. Like
right?
I can chat and talk to people.
Mhm.
And this is just my own conception. But I struggle with sitting in, or not sitting, but standing and like talking at people.
Mhm.
And I need to change my perception on that to get comfortable. And everything gets easier with time and takes practice, right?
I
And
don't know.
I don't
I've heard
know.
people with 5 years be like, "I'm still scared to get up there." So, like,
Yeah.
it may just be a thing, you know? Like
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Like I don't know if I would ever get comfortable. I don't do a lot of panels like I do when I get asked and
mhm,
I've offered, but it's not I did at one point I was doing it often,
mhm,
but today it's not just whenever I get asked.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
and when it's your story like we talked about before, you can't get it wrong.
Yeah,
you
right?
know?
Exactly.
So what were some goals that you set that first year and what are some goals you got today?
Goals in the first year. I'm trying to think if I even had any. Um, so I was still on parole for most of my first year, and I think that like really my only goal was to not go back to jail for the most part. Like that was another really big motivator of why I wanted to get clean was cuz like I don't want to go back to jail, you know, like it isn't as bad as everybody makes it seem, but it still sucks. You know, like
Yeah.
it's not somewhere I want to go. Um but like yeah, no, I've always struggled with setting goals cuz like, you know, I started using pretty young and I got really like not okay. Like my brain is kind of fucked up, so I didn't think that I was even going to make it this long. So like it's hard for me to set goals now. Um but like goals that I have today are like I want to go back to school to do like to do health to be a health and safety officer. Um Another big goal that I had was that I wanted to be driving before summer and like I accomplished that. So that's
So,
cool. Um I want to find a job that I can do where it doesn't make me want to off myself every 3 days. Um and just to like build connections and like I started sponsoring people recently and like that's another thing that I never thought I would do, but like now that I'm doing it, I just want to sponsor everybody. You know, I just want
nice.
to like be able to share like share the fucking message and like make people like let people know that like hey, we don't have to die addicts,
Yeah.
you know?
There's a better way of life. Life can be
Yeah,
amazing, right?
right? Like yeah, sure the first like 3 to 6 months of sobriety fucking suck. You know, it is terrible, but it gets better.
Yeah. I like the expression too. We don't say it gets better. Or what the fuck? Screwed that one up. We didn't say it was going to be easy. We said it's going to get better.
Yeah,
Like
right?
it's totally worth it. Little sayings. Yeah. Do you live by any little sayings or have any mottos?
Um The one that I heard, like, the most recently that stuck with me is, like, "Bring the body and the mind will follow," because I found that it works with everything. Like, "Oh, you wanna go to the gym? Well, then fucking go. Eventually, your brain will enjoy it."
Mhm.
You know? You wanna get sober? Okay, then show up at meetings, you know? Just start showing up, you know? Like, it's just bring your body there, and, like, that was something that I struggled with in the beginning of, like, my recovery. Was like getting my body there. So now I just like tell it to people and it's funny when like I say it to people who were there before me cuz they're like you literally couldn't do that yourself. I'm like, "Yeah, but like learn from my mistakes.
Well, that's why I'm fucking telling you.
Yeah, right? Like, just do it. I promise it helps. I don't really know. I'm not like a big motto person. I
Fair enough.
like I say the third step prayer like 17 times a day. If that counts, like,
Yeah.
you
Oh, sure
know,
it does. Yeah, little things like that. Like, yeah,
right?
I had to live my life off of one-liners. Like I had to dumb it down, and I still do. Who am
Mhm.
I kidding? You know, I love all little one sayings that can resonate and just when I can reflect back because I can't remember a whole lot.
Mhm.
Fuck, I could barely remember your name right away there.
Yeah, right? Like it happens.
Yeah.
We fucking
Um.
did drugs. It fucked up our brain a little bit.
Yeah. We're talking 18 years since I've touched speed. It's been a long time.
It's been 18 years since you've done dope?
T- Not exactly. Like since I got off my drug of choice off speed, I haven't touched speed in
Oh,
18 years.
okay, okay. I
Yeah,
was like,
but
holy fuck.
I had a relapse in there, which probably lasted about 5 years. I
Mm,
never really burnt my life down. Like pot was my drug of choice after that,
yeah.
but I dabbled with some things that I had never experienced before, like the GHB. I think I tried another one. I can't even the other drug you talked about drinking out of the bottle. At the Y that one night.
Oh, MDMA.
Yeah, like I tried that. So
Molly.
I tried, but I never, like what I can tell you is I never went down that path with it. If I hung around with people that were doing it, absolutely I would have. But with so much recovery or knowledge that I knew where my fucking boundaries were and what
Mhm.
lines not to cross, right? And
Yeah.
how do you deal with people from your past?
I don't. They're
Cheers.
all gone. Yeah, no,
I'll
they're
cheers
all
you that one.
gone. Fuck them. Like I lucked out and somebody hacked my Facebook. Like I don't know who it was, but they changed my name and they signed me out and they sent a picture of their ID so I couldn't even get back into it if I wanted to. So, now I only add people on Facebook who I know from the rooms. So like nobody I have gotten a new number obviously since I got out. So like I live in a different city from them. I just don't have contact with them anymore and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of freeing, eh? Like it has this.
Yeah, right? Like I don't have that trigger of like, oh, but they were my best friend for so long. Like, no, if they were my best friend, like nobody wrote to me when I was in jail. Nobody called. Like nobody, tried to get a hold of me, like nothing.
Yeah,
So like I was only your friend because I had dope. So what the fuck? Like I'm not gonna
yeah, you're
no.
not chasing.
Yeah, no,
You're
right?
not chasing them.
If somebody showed up to a meeting, fuck yeah, I would be stoked to see them and I would help them, because
Mhm.
like I do miss them sometimes, like I hung out with certain people for like fucking 15 years. Like I was homeless with them, like we did everything together.
Yeah,
But like I can't save them. So what's the point?
yeah.
Like
I got a tricky one. Wow, this may or may not. What qualities of yourself are you most? I wrote this one down. What qualities of yourself are you most proud of today?
mm, I always like struggle with the word qualities and I don't know why. Like fucks with my brain. Um I'm like I'm proud that I like just like that I'm doing things. Like I don't know, like I work at a shitty job at Domo, like the gas station, and I hate it. Like I hate it so fucking much. But I've been there for a year. Like I don't know what quality that is, but like fucking just sticking it out even though it sucks because I need to do it.
Yep.
I don't know what that word is, but
Commitment, maybe. Or, yeah, I
yeah,
don't. I don't know. I can't really think of the right word either.
right, but like whatever that is, that's a quality that I have now and like I can laugh at myself now and like I appreciate that. Like I'm kind of dumb, like and I know that like whatever, like I'm not an idiot, but like I'm dumb
Yeah, we have
sometimes.
dumb moments.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So like I like that I can laugh at them and not just be mad at somebody for calling me out on it now.
Yeah.
Like
Is laughing at yourself important or what?
yeah, cuz like yeah, I'm a fucking idiot, and I took my life really seriously for a long time cuz like I thought that if I were to like have fun while doing drugs, like somebody was gonna rob me or like I didn't know what was gonna happen. So I like didn't have fun for a long time and now I want to be able to enjoy my life and not just, be scared.
Yeah, I totally get that. I had my bubble, my room, whatever, and unless I knew the outcome of a situation or I knew exactly how it was going to go, I didn't fucking do it because I was full of fear of that unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I'm the complete opposite. If I've never done it, sign me up. Let's go do it. Like I want to make memories.
Yeah,
That's yeah.
right?
Anything I've never done, I'm up for the experience. If I'm not gonna die from it, like
Yeah, right?
you know,
Like,
that safety sense, right?
mhm.
How do you describe freedom from addiction? You know,
Mm, it's a choice now. Like, if I were to go and pick up tomorrow, it's because I made a choice. It's not because it's what needed to happen. Like, throughout like active use, like it wasn't a choice. After that first one is in my body, it's no longer a choice. It's what needs to happen, or I feel like I'm gonna die. And like, freedom from addiction to me is like, I can choose whether or not I'm gonna do that to myself.
yeah.
Yeah.
At what point in your recovery then, with 3 years here, what point or how long did it take you to get to a point where you were, you had this aha moment or sense where you were going to be like, I'm going to be okay?
Um, so my sponsor brought me like through like the indigenous culture. I'm like white as fuck, but like she's Métis, and so she brought me to sweats and stuff. And I remember she made me a ribbon skirt, and it's like outer space with like, it's just really cute and I really like it. And she brought it to me while I was at work, and I put it on, and I like, it's definitely like, it was the first spiritual experience that I've ever had. And I put it on and I just sat there crying for like fucking an hour at work, because it was just like, holy fuck, like creator has my back. Like I never have to do drugs again. As long as I keep doing what he wants from me, my life is going to be fine.
Mhm. Yeah, being able to turn it over.
Yeah.
Do you maintain that conscious contact with Creator, God of your understanding, or how do you?
Some days are better than others,
Sure.
like, I noticed that I reach out to like, the God of my understanding a lot more when I'm not having a good time. I'm working on reaching out like no matter what. Um I actually, like, I heard in a speaker tape not long ago that somebody just got like one of those shitty old watches that beeps every hour, and they wear it so then every time it beeps it reminds them to like
Hmm.
just like check in with God. And I was like thinking about doing something like that, maybe like on my phone, just for like every hour have it just an alarm go off so it just reminds me to like constantly be checking in. Um every time I get into the car I say the third step prayer. So like now that I've started driving, that's become a habit. So like, I don't know why the third step, turning my will in my life over, has been the hardest thing that I've had to do. So like the third step prayer is the one that I go to the most.
Yeah, makes sense. I used to say that one in the morning too, like for the
Mhm.
longest time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Because like, fuck. And I just learned actually not too long ago that your will and your like, so when I first heard turn my will in my life over, I thought it just meant the things that I do. I didn't understand that will was me thinking. So
Mhm.
like, turning my thoughts over is way fucking harder than turning what I do over. Like, I'm an overthinker. I want to overthink my problem and just sit in that and like, be angry, but if I turn it over, I can't.
Yeah, makes sense.
Mhm.
Have you ever tried journaling, or is there any value in that, or have you done it?
Um whoops. I like, on drugs I did a lot of journaling, and like I did find a lot of like relief in it, I guess. I'm like such an anxious person all the time that it's hard for me to just sit there and write. Um but like, so I have Snapchat and I send a lot of Snapchats to like my sponsors, and that's kind of like me journaling, I think, if that makes sense. Like, I every time something happens, I like will send like 5 Snapchats. And it's super annoying to them. They probably hate it. A lot of them have gotten pretty annoyed with me, but like being able to like talk it through, and like, instead of like me writing it down, because the writing is what takes too long. Like my
Yeah.
brain moves way faster than my hand can. So if I just send a video, it's like journaling without having to journal.
Yeah, hey, it's an outlet, right? That's
Mhm.
how you get your outlet, right? So
Yeah.
teach your own, right? And that's the beauty, is there's so many different ways, right? So thanks for sharing
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a few more questions here for you. This one I
Okay.
ask every guest. Um, any role models or mentors in your life today, and what areas?
like, do my sponsors count?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, yeah. So I have 2 sponsors. I know that's, like, not necessarily, like, a good idea or whatever. I've heard a lot. I've gotten, like, not backlash, but, like, a lot of people are against it. Um, but yeah, so, like, they help me in different areas of my life, like, Rochelle is, like, my first sponsor, she's the one who helped me, like, realize that I fucked and that I need help, and she's, like, I don't know, the Big Book talks about having, like, a spiritual advisor. She is my spiritual advisor, like, she helps me with, like, God and those kind of things, and then, like, um, Amy is my other sponsor, and she helps me with, like, life things, if that makes sense. Like, Rochelle also helps me with life things, but, like, I don't know, like, Amy's just so cool, and I'm just like, I just want to be so much like her. Like, I don't know. You know Amy, right?
She was a guest on the show.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
Yeah, she's just super fucking cool, and I just, like, want to be so much like her. Um,
Yeah, Amy's got lots of personality. Like,
yeah.
and thanks for doing the show, Amy. Just
Yeah,
saying, if you
right?
listen to this, yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen her tongue yet?
You know what? I tried like sticking my tongue out at her at a meeting the other day just to get her to like flash it to me.
Mhm.
But I've seen them before, and it just kind of creeps me out a little bit.
Oh, I'm, like, so jealous. Like, it's the coolest fucking thing.
Oh,
But yeah, like, I don't know, mentors, like, I don't know, like, not really. Like, I look up to a lot of people in the fellowship as, like, holy fuck, like, it gives me hope that, like, the people who have, like, 5+ years that, like, they're doing things, like, at, like, 5 years sober, people have bought houses. Like, what the fuck? Like, I still live in my parents' basement. Like, what the fuck? But, like, that gives me hope that one day I'll be okay.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I totally get it. What are some healthy habits you've developed then?
Oh my gosh. Wow, it's way easier to talk about unhealthy habits than healthy habits.
I know.
Holy fuck.
Sure is, isn't
I'm
it?
like, I could list a billion things that I probably shouldn't do. Um, wow, I honestly don't know.
Fair enough.
Like,
All right, what do you do for fun and recovery today?
I sleep a lot. I watch TV. I'm trying to get back into, like, art and stuff. Like, I used to do a lot of, like, just random fucking, like, flail crafts. Um, but, like, since getting sober, I, like, lost a lot of that, like, the drive for it. So I'm trying to, like, get back into it, like, just slowly, like, instead of, like, I used to, like, paint, like, dressers and, like, entirely, like, redecorate rooms and, like, paint walls and, like, all sorts of shit, like, and not just, like, basic colors. Like, I would, like, paint, like, things on walls, if that makes sense.
Yep, murals or
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, just, like, really flaily,
oh,
not good murals.
I got some good flaily things when you mentioned that. Like,
Yeah, right? And, like, I'm a hoarder, like, not like a dirty hoarder, just, like, I have a lot of shit, so, like, I'm going through it all recently, and, like, that's kind of become a hobby of, like, just, like, looking back and, like, throwing things out, and, like, I know that's not necessarily a hobby, but it's something that I'm doing a lot lately, so
fair enough.
yeah.
Yeah, I usually when I went through that and like, do I want it? Do I need it? Like, fuck it, I haven't used it for friggin' couple years now. I'm like, it's time to toss it.
Yeah, it's
Um,
hard.
what was I gonna ask you here? Um, oh, how do you show yourself self-love? Or what's self-love look like in your life today?
Crying.
Good one.
Yeah, baths, like, um, and, like, just being, like, knowing that it's okay that I'm not perfect all the time. Um, like, I struggle with, like, my self-worth a lot, and, like, having the fact that, like, there are people in my life today that, like, want me there helps that a lot, like, cause, like, I'm a fucking drug addict who, like, searched for dudes who would love me so I could love myself, and, like, I haven't been in a relationship since I got sober, and, like, to me, that's self-love, cause I'm gonna date somebody toxic because that's all I know, and I'm not ready for it yet, Like, I know that I wouldn't search for somebody healthy, I would look for, like, somebody who like just got out of jail, who's like on parole, who's probably still doing dope. Like that's where my mind goes instantly. So yeah, just self-love is not dating.
I get kudos, and kudos for having that like honesty with self and self-awareness to be able to recognize it and be like, not today, Satan.
Yeah, right? Like fuck that.
Yeah. Well, okay, so then I'll end with this one then. What's the never mind, that was dumb. You just kind of answered what I was going to ask anyways, right? How do you regulate negative emotions, or what do you do with how do you deal with emotions?
Mm, I most of my emotions resort back to being afraid, like fear is a big motivator in my life, and when I'm afraid I get angry. Um so I yell. I know that that's a weird thing to do. Like I don't yell at people. I
Mm,
don't yell at like, you know, I just like I go somewhere where there's nobody around and I fucking scream, you know?
yep.
It Luckily I have a car now, so I don't look like a crazy person. I was literally telling my sponsee on the way here actually. I was just like, "You know what? I understand you're frustrated right now. Just fucking scream." She's like, "But I'm on the LRT." And I'm like, "Yeah, so when you get off the LRT, just yell." I was like, "I swear to God, it will do wonders." Like as soon as I found out that like I would rather look like a crazy person than be fucked up, just I yell.
Yeah.
I scream and I know that's probably not the healthiest way to deal with it,
Who's to fucking say?
right? But I'm
you
not
know.
punching anybody. I'm not, screaming at people. I'm not
Yep.
self-harming. Like, so who fucking cares? I just yell about shit.
Well, that's it, right? Like 1,000 different people, 1,000 different stories, 1,000 different ways of dealing things. Like
Mhm.
I'll ask some of the same questions, right? And everybody has a different way of dealing with it, right? And 1,000 different, a million different people in this world. Not everything's supposed to fucking resonate or connect with me, right? So
Mhm.
if it did, that would just be weird.
Yeah.
So this will be my last one then. Uh, um, what's the therapeutic value, or how has helping other people get clean, stay clean helped you in your life today, or benefited you in your life today?
The fact that somebody wants what I have to offer is fucking amazing. Like I feel like like my self-worth goes up with that cuz
Mm,
like holy fuck, I'm doing something right that somebody wants what I have. Um and like it's like the whole like gratitude thing, like I want to prove that I'm grateful for what was given to me, and like gratitude is an action word. Well, I guess that's a motto that I say all the time. Like it's I have to prove to people that I'm grateful for what happened by doing it for others. I don't want to see like I don't want like all these addicts dying on the street. Like I want them to get sober, and I know that I can't help everybody and that I can't save anybody, but like when somebody comes to me wanting help, I'm so fucking grateful that I have the opportunity to help them.
mm. Well, and you can lead by example, right? Like, when they say attraction rather than promotion, right? Like, we
Mhm.
lead by example, and that's how people choose who they want to emulate, I guess.
Yeah, right? Like
Yeah. All right. What do we got for time? I think that pretty much brings us to the end of our time.
dope.
What's something you want to share with the listeners? Do you want to take us home or leave us your final thoughts?
Um I don't fucking know. Um yeah, I don't know. What am I supposed to say?
You are supposed to say, I'm not going to tell you what to say.
But
Uh,
like
Final thoughts. Like, what do you want to leave the listeners with, or what's something you want to drive home to the listeners? What about life today, and how
oh,
life is good today, or the benefits of getting clean?
okay, perfect. Okay, that makes more sense. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to say. It's getting sober is fucking terrible at first. Like it's not something that any of us want to do, you know what I mean? Like at least it wasn't for me. Like I didn't want this, but I needed it. And like something that I've heard in the rooms like quite a bit recently, I feel like the person who says it heard it in a speaker tape. That but like recovery isn't for the people who want it or need it, it's for the people that fucking do it. Like it's a program of action. Like no matter what you do to stay sober, like if it's 12 steps, if it's not, if it's like going to church every day, whatever the case is, like it's doing it. We can't think ourselves clean. If we could, we probably wouldn't be addicts. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that with us. And Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing your truth with us. I loved it. You
Perfect.
killed it.
Thanks.
So, and for the rest of you guys listening, or girls, or everybody out there listening, I just want to say thank you for sharing your time with us today. And I'll leave you the same way I leave you every episode, and that's make lots of memories, take lots of pics, and show the world your smile. Cheers.